Hello and welcome to Paranormal Chronicles. I am your host, Joe Miranda. Today's episode is Can't You See My Aura? Before we get started, I just want to say that I am a flawed man and I am a sinner. I give God all the glory. I believe Jesus Christ is my Savior. And I never, ever underestimate Satan's ability to blind minds, eyes, ears, and hearts here on earth. As I stated earlier in the episode, Country Road, that time period was just a tidal wave of paranormal events that kept happening, one after another. And I'm going to discuss the events that happened after the Country Road event on the 31st of January 2013. Now, as I was leaving the home after I cleansed it, I was driving back to the friend's house that I was staying at while I was back in Pennsylvania. And I was listening to a CD, happened to be an Allison Chainsaw called Nutshell. People can listen to the song themselves. Probably quite a few people already know it. It's about isolation and I guess in general, just people being in a dark place. So as I'm driving on a road called Cover Bridge Road, I had just passed a road, Creek's Edge Road, and I will be mentioning that name of that road in another episode. But about 2 miles after I passed that road, the volume on the radio, CD player / AM FM radio, the volume went as high as it would go. I mean, and I think it was 1100 watts. It was insane. The amount of power of the speaker that I had in the back and the door speakers and all that good stuff. It scared the living daylights out of me. And it happened. I was passing a church. It was, I think, the Church of Christian Salem United, and I thought that was very odd, and I thought that it may have had something to do with what I had just completed, the cleansing of that house. I thought they were connected because that had never happened before. I never had an issue with the sound system in my car. So, I had to turn the CD player off. I had to shut off the radio for that to stop. And then when I got to my friend's house, the window that cracks maybe an inch and a half when you open your door up, and then when you close it, goes back up. I guess it's a positioning system in the car itself. But as I got out of the car, the window kept going up and down, like the door had been shut, and continuously up and down for several minutes. And I wish I'd have got video of that on my phone, but after a few minutes, it stopped. I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, I figured I'd have to disconnect my battery. Um, so I attribute that to remnants of cleansing that house. Like I said, there was a really dark entity in there. And that point and up to this point, I'm too old to believe in coincidences. So that brings us to February 3rd, 2013. The families the family whose house I cleansed on the 31st, they invited me to come watch the Super Bowl. I believe it was the 49ers and the Ravens were playing. And the girlfriend was there, the mother was there. I'm not sure if the aunt was there or not. I know that my friend's son was there. As soon as I walked in the door, the father, who was not present at the cleansing, he sees me and he says, "Hey, Joe, can't you see my aura? Can't you see my aura, Joe? I don't need to be saged, but can you see my aura?" Now, I never met this gentleman before, ever. Never spoken to him. It made the hair on the back of my neck stand up, and I'm like, what did I just get myself into? It taught me a very valuable lesson, though. And this should be a lesson for other people that do paranormal investigation. This is a prudent warning. Don't go back. I mean, obviously, if there's something taking place with a family's house or a friend's house, that's a little bit different. But if you get called out to do any sort of cleansing, any type of paranormal investigation, my advice to you, don't go back. You know, personal accolades is not why I do what I do. I believe I'm doing God's work, and I'll just leave it at that. Um, Bad news to go back because, you know, the dark entity, the dark beings, the dark entities, the dark powers that are out there, they don't like you tipping the field a play. And you will pay for it. Now, as the night went on, we talked a little bit, and the father revealed a lot about himself. He was he was a confessed alcoholic. He said when he was younger, he did illicit drugs. Um, Told me that he smoked dope, smoked marijuana on a continual basis at that point in time. And he was already 3 sheets to the wind by the time I showed up. And I knew that. I mean, you couldn't miss it. His slurring his speech. I mean, his inhibitions were down. And the guy never knew me, and he called me out like he did, like he knew me for years. Now, I've said this on a number of occasions. There is demonic interference and there is demonic possession. Anything that I am saying in this podcast, anything I say in the future regarding what I observe in other people, I am in no means disparaging them. That is not my intent. I am merely sharing with this audience my observations. And I've been doing this a while, and I've seen a lot of, let's just qualify them as interesting things. I don't, I don't confess to have all the answers. I have very few answers. I just know what I've experienced. So I'll never make that assertion, because you may see something or experience something you've never seen or experienced before. So again, I just report back, and I just share what my experience was, what I observed, and that's it. You don't need to embellish this stuff. It speaks for itself, and it stands on its own merits. So I decided to, kind of cut the visit short, because the vibe I was getting, it wasn't good, especially from the father. He would continue to drink more, and the conversation between him and I got stranger and stranger. At some point, I didn't even think I was talking to the father, and I'll just leave it at that. So, as I was saying my goodbyes to everyone, I went up to the father and thanked him for, the invitation. I don't really recall that he thanked me for cleansing the house. He told me that his wife had talked a lot about it, and so had the aunt. But one of the interesting things he said to me before I left was, and he said this to me. He said, "You can tell my daughter that she can come to me about her channeling abilities." I thought that was kind of strange. I mean, why wouldn't you talk to your daughter and tell her that yourself? Now, he did admit to me that their relationship was sometimes strained, but I mean, she lived in the house. I mean, she was a minor. But, I told him that I would, and I still thought it was a very strange statement to make to me. Just kind of lending a little bit more credence to what I was initially thinking and who I thought I was talking to. And I'll never forget, he said to me, he said, "I love you." And then I wasn't ready for it, and he hugged me. And as soon as he embraced me, I just felt this dark, negative energy, just, for lack of a better term, it felt like I know it affected me immediately. I don't know, did it enter me? Did it completely, cover me? Did it, surround me? I don't know how to explain it, but I knew whatever happened, it wasn't good. And You know, I could have I could have kicked myself. You know, as I'm walking out to my car, and I felt it. I felt it immediately. I mean, whatever it was affecting me. I got in my car. I was cussing to myself. I lit up some sage, and I all the way home. I just the whole car was just it was basically fogged up with sage, and I thought to myself, I mean, I knew then I'd made a mistake going over there. Should have never done it, and that's why I'm warning people that do investigative work, don't do it. If your job is going to cleanse a house, if your job is to investigate, you don't need to go back. There's, you know, save accolades for somebody else. It's not why you should be doing what you do. It's not why I do what I do. February 4th, the next day, my uh, my friend's wife, I was talking to her. She asked me how the Super Bowl party was, and we were talking a little bit about that. Then I told her it was okay. You know, I didn't go into details of what happened, uh, but that's when she told me that her son and her son's girlfriend had both had to leave school early and come home because they were both sick. Um, I offered to come over to the house and sage it because I believed it was from the night before. So I went over and I was talking to the son, and while I was there, he actually had to go. He was nauseous and had another episode. I went around the house and I cleansed it, and he actually told me afterwards that he felt better. Um, Next day, the 5th of February, 2013, I woke up about 4:30 in the morning. I mean, I was sick. I didn't have what the son and the son's girlfriend had. I had congestion in my chest. Um, I My lungs hurt, my sinuses, and I don't have sinusitis or anything like that, but my sinuses were really there was something going on there. Um, I remember getting up and trying to take a hot bath. I mean, I ached all over, and this is no exaggeration. It felt like um it felt like the life was leaving me. It felt like the life and the light I had inside was was leaving me. I was really worried. I remember I remember sleeping the rest of the day after after I finished up with my bath. That takes us to the next day, the 6th of takes to the 6th of February. There were 5 events that took place that day that I will chalk up to paranormal activity taking place. First one was I got up the next day. I hadn't eaten the day before. I had to go out and get something to eat. Um, Even though I was staying at a friend's house, I didn't want to impose. So I went out to get something for breakfast. It took me I had to go to three restaurants to before they would take my ATM card. Three. I mean, I traveled from one direction, for instance, east to west to find a place that would take my ATM card. At one of the restaurants stopped at, I remember, I think it was the second restaurant I stopped at. And I got out of my car, the window, started going up and down again for several minutes, and then it just stopped. So I ended up eating breakfast, and as I was driving, I saw this sign for um, National Center for Padre Pio. I had no idea who that was. But I think I saw it on the way to the restaurant that I ate at. And then I saw it obviously as I was traveling past. And I know later, found out that this National Center had been featured on a Unsolved Mysteries episode. The people that founded the center, they believe Padre Pio had saved her life. She had, I'm not sure the illness, but she was a very sick girl. And they traveled to Italy to have him bless her. I ended up back at the spiritual store again. Not sure the reason why at that particular moment, but I remember when I walked in, the proprietor, she was fixing her necklace. And, you know, she seemed a little embarrassed by it. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." She goes, my Saint Padre Pio medallion fell off my necklace and I'm putting it back on." I'm like, I saw a sign for Saint Padre Pio when I went to get breakfast this morning as I was coming back, as I was headed this way. And then she explained a little bit about the center and why it was built. I did my own research later, but she gave me basically a rundown. Thought that was strange. Her medallion just fell out and fell off her necklace, and I believe she had the necklace for a few years, and she had gotten this medallion at the Padre Pio Center. I remember spending a little bit of time with the proprietor. We were talking about a couple things, and I noticed this woman walking around the store, and she was just kind of walking around aimlessly. You know, sometimes you can notice people that are walking around a store, whether it's, you know, a Walmart or JCPenney, you can kind of tell they're not really sure what they're looking for. They're just, you know, meandering about. And I couldn't help but notice. Well, the proprietor introduced us, said her name was Alicia. And we got to talking, and then she said to me, she goes, "I'm not sure why I came here. I have no idea why I came here, but I just had this feeling that I needed to come." And it was about that time that I hear the word ring, wedding ring. And I then I heard and I heard it in a man's voice. I I went out on a limb, and I was putting things together as we were talking, and I I said to her, hope you don't mind um, me sharing something with you, but I think I'm getting an impression from a man that's connected to you. And I told her, I said, I'm hearing the word wedding band. And she looked at me with the strangest look, and she kind of covered her mouth with her hand. Her eyes got real big. She goes, "Oh my God." And she proceeded to tell me that she had been married for 20 years. She had, her husband had passed away the year before in 2012 of cancer. They had been married for 20 years, had 2 kids. And she confided in me that before they closed the casket for the final time and locked it, that she took his wedding band off. But she told me she had lost it and had just come across it a couple days before she was in the store. And, she started welling up pretty good when she was telling me this. She said she really misses him a lot. And then I heard in this male voice, tell her I want her to get that ring resized so she can wear it. And I told her, I said, I'm hearing that same voice, and they told me to tell you that you should take that wedding ring and get it resized and wear it all the time. And then the tears started coming. I mean, this streak just ran down her cheek, and she thanked me. And I believe she put it in these terms, like, now I know why I came here today. It was to talk to you. I said, well, thank you for that, but um, I'm glad you came, and I'm glad I was able to share this with you. Um, I believe it gave her closure. Um, and I do remember um, the male voice saying to me, and I believe it was her deceased husband, Michael, tell her I love her. I'm always going to watch over her and the kids, and I'll never leave your side. And I think that gave her a lot of comfort when I shared it with her. I I left the spiritual store, and I had a very strong impression I needed to go. needed to go to the National Center for Padre Pio because I I felt I was in a lot of trouble spiritually. I knew I was in a lot of trouble physically. And I I went to the center and they have a chapel there. And I went in the chapel and I prayed. I was probably in prayer there 15, 20 minutes. And I knew I had to do something. I mean, I needed protection more than I've ever needed protection in my life up to that point. And I remember going in. They have the chapel. They have a gift shop, and then they have um, a movie room where they show the unsolved mystery episode. I met this woman named Lillian, and she was very kind. Um, I confided in her what had happened um, when I went to the house to to cleanse it. I told her I was in a lot of trouble. I'm very sick. Um, and she revealed to me that um, Padre Pio fought demons his whole life. Padre Pio was granted statehood by the Catholic Church. He had stigmata, I believe, on his sides, his feet, and his hands. Um, Basically, the same markings that Jesus Christ had after his crucifixion. And that I believe in the early 1900s, around 1912, 1914, something like that, as a young priest, he said that Jesus came to him and asked him to help with people's sins. Because of that, he bore stigmata of those wounds. He had to wear gloves. He had to wear gloves to cover stigmata. He didn't want to scare people with it. And I remember Lillian came out and pressed she pressed the glove against my chest. And I could feel the energy coming out of it. And then she told me, this will help protect you, but look for strange things to happen. Okay. Well, I was desperate at that point, so I was taking all the blessings I could get. Um, then I left. I think before I left, though, she asked me to write my name down on a slip of paper, and um, that they would request a blessing for me. And I agreed to do that. Again, I needed all the help I could get. And I left. The next day, I felt so much better. So much better. I felt, I'm not being dramatic at all when I say this, I felt the life and the light coming back into me. I On the 12th of February, I went back to the National Center for Padre Pio. And I asked Lillian if she would bless the medallion and a cross that I had purchased. And then I went into the chapel and I prayed. And I gave thanks to God and Jesus and to Saint Padre Pio. And as I'm praying, I have this vision, and I see Padre Pio, and he says, "Get behind me." And then he put his arms out, and it reminded me of the cross. And he said, "I will protect you." Looked to the right, then he looked to the left. But I remember as I'm seeing this vision, I can see it plain as day. I can see details. I can see Padre Pio. I can feel this amazing energy all around me. And as Lillian walked up to tell me that the cross and the medallion, the blessing was finished, he faded away. What I want to say to Lillian is thank you for heeding my pleas for spiritual help. You were there when I needed you. And to Padre Pio, thank you for taking up for me.